Welcome to the quarterfinal fixture of the 2024-2025 EPCR Challenge Cup, where the Vodacom Bulls travel to Edinburgh Rugby to take on Edinburgh at the Hive Stadium. The Vodacom Bulls side that will do duty is as follows. Simpiwe Matanzima starts at 1, followed by Aka van der Merwe at 2, Will Colo slots in at 3, Rowan Nokia at 4, JF van Heerden at 5, Marcel Coetzee at 6, Janus Kersten at 7, Cameron Hanekom at 8. Zach Beggar, Keegan Johannes, Stravino Jacobs, Harold Foster, David Creel, Sergil Peterson, and Devon Williams as announced in the round of 16 fixture. So your backline is Zach Beggar, Keegan Johannes, Stravino Jacobs, Harold Foster, David Creel, Sergil Peterson, and Devon Williams as per last week. Then the Impact squad sees Johan Grobler returning, Jan Hendrik Wessels at 17, Mornay Smith at 18, Reinhard Ludwig at 19, Marco van Staden at 20, Emros Papier at 21, Johan Hussen at 22, and Kenan Moody returns at 23. Impact squad once more, Johan Grobler, Jan Hendrik Wessels, Mornay Smith, Reinhard Ludwig, Marco van Staden, Emros Papier, Johan Hussen, and Kenan Moody. Sim, can I ask that you kick us off, followed by Gobas Klassen. From Gobas Klassen, we will go to Ashfaq. Ashfaq, we will then come to MV. Thank you.
How's it, Jake? Jake, can you hear me?
Just unmute.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, that's great. Just talking us through the team. Obviously, I think the eye-catching elements of it are Ruan at 4, and obviously Kanan coming back. What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's anything but 4 and 5. I mean, they can. Just was because Jeff wore the 5 jersey. I mean, I think Ruan will still call the lineouts, and whether they swap around numbers-wise going forward, it's not going to make any difference. And then Kanan is now back from his long layoff. Obviously, he got a bit of a scare last time we played. His recovery back after his HIA was a bit longer than initially thought, but he's back now and obviously covers all the positions in the back line.
Jake, we've already had that sort of big talking point around South African coaches coming up against each other in the Glasgow Leinster fixture. So obviously you guys and Edinburgh is something similar. Obviously you and Sean know each other so well that where do you think sort of the deciding factor is going to be in terms of what decides the game?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been around too long to worry about other coaches and head coaches. It's got nothing to do with what coaches do. It's about how the teams play. And I mean, I know Sean and he knows me, and that means absolutely nothing. Tomorrow's a game in Edinburgh, and they're a good team. I mean, they're laden with internationals. They too are in the quarterfinals of this competition, and they're playing at home. And the reason for they playing at home is that they finished higher on the log than we did in the Challenge Cup. So yeah, so I don't really foresee anything untoward. I mean, I'll probably see Sean for dinner tonight as well. So, there's nothing. It's not about me and him. It's not about, anyone out thinking anybody. It's about how the team plays and whether the teams are good enough tomorrow.
Thanks, Sean.
Hi, Jake. I hope you're well. Jake, it must be nice this week after the momentum of last weekend's win to have Ruan Nokia and Cameron Hanekom back in the pack.
Two changes made to the team, and also it's nice because for first time in a long time we've got a bit of a settled group in terms of guys we didn't get any injuries last week, thank goodness. And what's nice is we could literally keep the same back line, and we've made 2 changes to the forwards, and 2 Springboks have come in. So what I am looking forward to is a little bit of continuity, a little bit of reward for how they played last week. And then, as you see, Kobus, very good bench. Bench of, I think, 6 Springboks on our bench, which is which hasn't happened for us for a long time, that we could have 6 Springboks on our bench. So slowly coming into the back end of these competitions, and as I said, there's 3 games left in this quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. Always nice to know that you've got most of your best players, coming back and being part of this group.
Thanks. And just at lock, it's a nice opportunity for JF to see how Ruan goes about in the lineouts.
Yeah. I mean, he's grown. I mean, I remember. It's funny. We played Edinburgh in the very first game of the season at Loftus. It was the round 1 game of the URC, and I looked at our team, and I think it was Jeff's first start. So it just shows you, and all of a sudden you're playing him in a quarterfinal of a European Cup game, and he's now playing with guys like Wilco, guys like Ruan Nokia, guys like Cameron Anakor, Marcel Kutsia, all Springboks in the pack. So and Akker van der Merwe, obviously he was a Springbok, Robbie's a Springbok. So what's nice is that it's nice to see how he's growing. I mean, he's not just there by making up a number with us. I mean, he's generally growing and growing and growing. And as I said it verbatim to you guys, he's 20 years old, 21-year-old tight forward at Northern Transvaal. In the old days would have been seen as something special. So it's nice to know we've got a young 21-year-old lock coming through our ranks and starting with Springboks against a good team in the quarterfinal of a tournament.
Thank you, Jake. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Jake. It's Ashfaq. Hope you're well.
Ashfaq, thank you.
Cameron Hanekom, obviously a lot of the talk of 4G pitches, it's a quick game and faster and all of that. So that will certainly aid you in terms of that with his pace. But just where is he at the moment? Because it's been a sort of a tricky period. He's been injured, out, then came back, then was out again.
Yeah. Look, 2 questions there, Ashfaq. One is, yes, it's a quick pitch. It's 4G. It'll suit him like a glove. I mean, he's a out and out athlete. He's fresh because he hasn't played much rugby. I mean, I know he came off the bench and then he got an HR8 test. He was off for 12 minutes. So literally played 25 minutes of last week's fixture. Sat out for a while with some injuries. And I think what I've sort of understood, and I think people sometimes forget, is that he's 21 years old, and 21 years old playing at this level against international players every week takes a real bashing on your body. And he hasn't, as I said, he just the way he plays, it's obviously an obvious thing that he's going to get banged and bumped and bruised, and going to pick up all these little, as his body gets stronger and tougher, and he's used to the collisions, then obviously he'll improve. But he's fine. I mean, in terms of where he is, he wants to play. He's a youngster that always wants to be on the field, and I mean that's not going to change. I think I've seen many youngsters like that every time they're around, they want to be on the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be an 80-minute performance.
And where do you see Edinburgh's biggest challenge for you guys? And I'm also asking that in terms of selection, because you obviously have 2 massive URC games coming up as well. So was it difficult for you to pick this team that you have picked, considering next 2 weeks and the challenge that you're going to face tomorrow?
No, not really. I mean, obviously you want to pick your strongest team every single Saturday, and that's not possible. Especially also with all the injuries we've had. I mean, we've had, Kanan was out, Curtly's overseas, Billy's out with an injury, Johan Goosen's been out with a long-term injury, Cameron was out, Ruan Nokia was out, Ruan Vermaak's now out, Gerard Stenekomp's out. So it's been a bit of a juggling act because we can't put everyone that comes back from injury straight into the starting lineup. And also you can't put everyone that's come back into the team as well, because some guys are playing well and some guys are, holding on to their jerseys as well. So you've got a bit of a balancing act. You can't make too many changes, otherwise you lose cohesion. And you also don't then reward players that are playing, well enough to keep their jerseys. So it wasn't that much of a, as a concern when it came to selecting the team. I mean, as I said, 2 changes, number 8 and lock, both Springboks coming in, and a bench of 6 Springboks. Maybe next week the 6 Springboks start and the other guys on the bench, but we'll only be able to answer that once I know how we go through this fixture.
Cheers, thank you.
Jake, on the subject of injuries, you mentioned earlier in the season that you lose on average 1.5 players per match. You've got a 4-week, possibly 5-week tour overseas, depending on whether you qualify tomorrow for the semi-finals. How's it going on the injury front? Are you going to be able to, I want to call it last to the end of the tour? Players coming back like Kobus Wiesen, like you had a whole list of injuries there just now. Is the injuries a concern, or are you confident you're going to make it to the end? Hello, can you hear me, Jake?
Slowly, like a guy. Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Sorry,
guys?
I didn't hear that first part. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, so, I mean, a lot of them are coming back in there. A lot of them are coming back now. And the timing is probably good because getting Querson back for the knockout stages, getting Visa back, getting other guys that have been out for a while, Kanan that's been out for a while. We've quite got Willie back yet. We haven't got Kirtley. Orange is obviously on his sabbatical. Conrad Steenkamp still struggling with his post-operation. But I would think that by the time we get to, obviously this is one competition, and I'm comfortable that most guys are back to add value. I'm hoping that, we can carry on winning. And then when we get to the last rounds of all these competitions, then we'll have our best players available. But you're never guaranteed, because when one goes down, the other one comes back, or sometimes you think you've got a position covered and you could lose a player. So unfortunately, it's just the nature of where we are in terms of the season, in terms of the time of the year, in terms of guys that have had operations, etc., etc. So, but it's not doom and gloom, MBA. I mean, I think every team and every coach is going through exactly the same thing.
No, sure. I understand that. Just, I know you don't like talking about upcoming games, but Munster playing Bordeaux this weekend, and Leinster, Glasgow playing Leinster. Those are big games. I'm talking about you guys going to those two venues to go play those teams. Do you think that might have an impact, a bit of a lead in the legs next week, maybe? I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I was just curious about that.
Well, I mean, look, I'm sure that in any season, you look at who they play before and after there's no doubt. Look at Leinster. They didn't bring their main guns because they wanted to do well in Europe. Now it's like that's the shootout with all the best players in club rugby playing against each other, MVA. And you're right. I mean, Munster, Bordeaux, what an unbelievable game to look forward to. And then Leinster, Glasgow. I mean, those are URC champions playing against arguably one of the best club sides in the world. So it is going to take effect. I mean, but it takes an effect playing Edinburgh away and playing Bayonne away and then playing Munster away and then Glasgow away. And so, it just depends on which side of the fence you're looking at. You can find any reason to, 4 weeks away from home, maybe 5 weeks away from home. Is that more detrimental than playing one big tough game, in a European Cup game? And there's no answer to that. I mean, there's no right or wrong. So, every team would be looking with interest at each other to see who's doing what, how they fronting up, how they look week to week. And, as I said to you, and I've said it to you many times, is that our challenge as a club, when I talk about the Bulls, we just want to be our best every time we get to knockout rugby, because that's when it counts. You want to be alive in the last 3 weeks and play your best rugby. And this will be a good test because it's a quarterfinal. When we go to the semi-final, then there's only 4 teams left. So it's a good opportunity for us to measure ourselves on a knockout game.
Well, I've got full faith that you need to book that, delay your flights for that final game against Pass. Hopefully you go off. Good luck tomorrow, Jake. You well.
Thanks, Emilio. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Carl Fabian, followed by Anime, followed by Devon, and then followed by Simon, and then Percival Young. You can close the session for us in Afrikaans.
Jake, firstly, I hope you all well that side. Last weekend you played may I call it a more conservative game, a more disciplined game. Will we see this week a new Bulls playing a faster game, or it is knockout rugby, or are you going to stick with that game plan more or less what you played last weekend?
Oh, Carl, it was interesting because I actually wondered what people thought of that fixture. And we took 3 points when we were in front of the Bulls to make it 3-3. And we ended up scoring 4 tries and got a bonus point. I know there are no bonus points, but so the sort of impression would be that we were quite conservative, and yet we scored 4 tries. So it's as I said, I think knockout rugby sometimes means you go to the corner and you take the 7, you take the chance, because you could knock them out. You could knock the other team out of the competition by scoring at a certain time, or you could build scoreboard pressure, take the 3 in front of the Bulls. So there's no right or wrong. I think for me, I left the shores of South Africa saying to you guys that it's knockout rugby now, and now it's about finding a way to get a win. And if it means we go to the corner and we maul and we score, then that's the way we'll play. And if that is perceived to be daring or less conservative, well, then that's what we'll have to do. But Edinburgh away, I sort of always feel like I'm sort of explaining things to you guys, but it's another away game, guys. Another away game against another international team. It's 2 weeks on tour. It's it's 4G pitch, which we don't play on back in South Africa. So there's a lot of contributing factors that are going to influence the way we play. And I suppose the message to the players is, let's just do what we do well and make sure we find a way to win. And if it means that we have to go into our shell at times, then let's do it. And if it means we have to express ourselves and play, let's do it as well. So it's not one or the other, I don't think, Carl. I think it's a little bit of the good side. The good sides find a way in a game to do both.
Appreciate it, sir, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Jake. Hope you're well.
Yes, thank you.
Last week's win in France was a big one for you guys, especially with the youngsters not having that experience. Always tough games, and then it was showing a lot of true grit and determination to get through. That must put you guys a bit in a confidence situation, in terms of where the team is.
Yeah, Anami, I mean, I'll tell you this, and without putting words in your mouth, it wasn't good. It was massive. To win in France, I don't think anyone who's ever played rugby would disagree with the fact that to get a win away in France it's just a very different challenge for any group of players. And that Bayonne side sits 4th on the log in the top 14. At home, they hadn't lost this year. Just shows you how strong it is, how strong they are at home. And it gives you confidence. I mean, it gives you mass amounts of confidence as a group. I mean, the winning feeling is like anything. It's something you can't bottle, and the vibe in the group is fantastic. I mean, everyone is so upbeat. We've just arrived in Scotland. We spent the week in Biarritz, arrived to a sunny Scotland. So yeah, I mean, I can tell you that it's really a nice environment, nice atmosphere, really nice feeling in terms of where we are as a group. And we know we could possibly still have 3 weeks on tour. Now, I mean, that just says something for the group as well. So I'm really, really happy, and it was a massive win. And now we need to take advantage of the fact that we've got that momentum. We've got to use it in our favor now.
Yeah. And then just on Johan Goosen, he told us earlier in the week that he's got a bit of pain still. He only played 10 or 15 minutes. Do you foresee him maybe getting a few more minutes this weekend?
I think he was talking about his bum. I think he doesn't enjoy sitting on the bench for 65 minutes. So I don't think it was his knee. I think he was alluding to the fact that he's sore on his bum. I don't think he likes to sit on the bench under me. So won't be long before he's back in action.
And then just the last question: are you on a bus?
We are. Can you believe it? I'm doing my Zoom call where technology comes. I'm doing a media conference in a bus driving through the streets of Edinburgh. I mean, as I said, when I started coaching, coaches had a bag of balls and a whistle. Now we've got telephones with video clips, and I've got Zoom calls with laptops on buses. I mean, this world has definitely changed, and I mean.
Thanks, Jake, and good luck for this weekend.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, Jake. Not much from me. I just want to clarify there if I didn't hear correctly early on. Does Ruan come in and take the captaincy back over from Marcel, or does Marcel co-captain, or is he
No,
staying
no,
captain?
no. So Ruan will be the captain. And as I said, he probably hasn't played much rugby. I don't foresee that he can play 80. If he doesn't play 80, then Marcel will continue and take over the captaincy if he comes off.
Okay. Thanks very much. All the best.
No problem. No problem.
Jake, I'm not going to ask you how you are. I've already determined that you are well and you're jumping around there. But two questions. First, it's a massive, I assume, continuous issue for the players to be exposed to this, some of the junior players, to this type of knockout rugby. You've been around the block. You've been successful with Montpellier. You've just alluded more than once to how difficult it was to win in France, and you've done that last weekend. You probably, by virtue of expressing, you are the old dog in the pack, taking into consideration your team as well. Do they get something from that experience, from that success from you? Do they feed off that as far as the importance of the knockout game tomorrow and probably next week and the week after is concerned? Do you think that rubs off on them?
Simon, listen, I'd like to believe yes. I mean, I think that's what coaching is all about, and I think that's what experience is all about. And one of the things I can share with them pre and post game is just what's coming and what is, and what it feels like post the game. I warned them about what the attitude's like, what the atmosphere's like, but they've got to experience it. And I think that there's no doubt that, I'm sure having given them the heads up before we got there and given them the positive feedback afterwards on how good we were and how important it was and how massive it was to get that result, I'm sure, Simon, I would really like to believe that yes, that is something that I'm sure the team would thrive on. I mean, it's no different to if you go into, I suppose, into a situation that you have a leader that's been there before as well. Then they give you all the shortfalls or the potential shortfalls that could happen. So yeah, Simon, I do believe that having been here, having played, coached in this, having been part of games like this, is no doubt. But then also don't underestimate, I've seen the massive improvement of a guy like Ruan Nokia, who came back from beating the All Blacks twice last year. He went as a novice into the Springbok setup, came back into our setup, having beaten the All Blacks and Australia and All Blacks again. You can imagine what that does to a lock when you stand next to him in a line-out and he's at training with you and he's just come back from beating the All Blacks. So, it's not just me in isolation. I'm sure it's everybody who can add value from their experiences that's so important in these games.
Jack, and then one aspect of last weekend's game, especially the last part, and you were at pains to explain to us also that you were concerned, and you alluded to the fact you were concerned about the choices, the last-minute choices, kicking the ball away, giving the ball under certain circumstances, just instead of retaining the ball at the death of continuing the game. I assume this is a totally different scenario. It's a new game. It's fresh. It's a total different team, etc., etc. That must have been drilled into the guys again. Choices, especially at the death of a game, especially a knockout game like tomorrow.
It is. That's exactly it, Simon. It is. I mean, that's again part of, and you're not going to learn everything in 1 week. So hopefully, all the little building blocks of what's happened, whether we've lost a game in the death, where we won a game in the death, where we should have held on to the ball, where we should have kicked it out, we're sort of keeping it in. I mean, those are things that, again, and the more the players play together and they talk about it, and the more they understand, where they are as a group, the easier it is as a coach. So it is something that we've spoken about and we'll continue to speak about, Simon, as we grow as a team. I'm under no illusions about the fact that we're still not where we want to be. We might be doing reasonably well, but we're not close to where we want to be as a club. And there's still a lot of water under the bridge between now. There's 10 fixtures. If we win every single game, there's still 10 fixtures. And a lot of things can happen in 10 games.
Thanks, Jake. Good luck tomorrow. Cheers.
Thank you, Sim. Thank you.
Goeiedag, meneer White. Is het Pistol Young se beurt?
Hallo?
Meneer White, kan jy my hoor?
Can you hear, Percival?
Baie dankie. Goeiedag sê meneer coach. Coach, ek het twee vragies. Coach, before I ask my two questions, can I just ask you, why have you guys decided to prepare in Biarritz instead of in Scotland in Edinburgh?
Because the sun shines in Biarritz, Percival.
No, but the reason I'm asking the question is that you guys know you guys are playing on the 3G pitch. Would you not want to do preparation on a 3G pitch instead of preparing somewhere else though?
Do I not want to do preparation on a field? I don't hear you.
I'm just trying to think
now.
now. Now, I was just trying to think now. Wouldn't it be ideal for you guys to prepare in a city or on conditions that you guys are going to play on though?
No, well, the interesting thing is about Biarritz is they've got a 4G pitch and a grass pitch. So in effect, we can actually train for Munster, which is a grass pitch, and we can train for Edinburgh and Glasgow, which is a 4G pitch. And it's an interesting thing, Percival. I'm glad you mentioned it. You know, we're actually going back to Biarritz tomorrow after the game as well. And I just want to thank, you know, our shareholders and our CEO and our president. You know, we based ourselves down in the, you know, in Biarritz. Summer there. When I say summer, sun shining. You know, we can recover in the sea. We've got two facilities we can use. Biarritz Rugby Club. You know, we've got Flip van der Merwe there, who's opened the doors for us there, and allowed us to use their facilities. And I can tell you, it's been a blessing as well. When you're going to be on tour for 5 weeks or potentially for 5 weeks, to have sort of 3 weeks of that in a place like Biarritz is obviously fantastic for this group of players.
Coach, net twee Afrikaanse vinnige vragies. Coach, net kortliks, dit is nou nie 'n wêreldbeker eindstryd in Frankryk meneer, maar dis natuurlik nog steeds 'n uitklopwedstryd. Is daar trots in Jake White en sy span om te weet dat julle die enigste Suid-Afrikaanse span nog in hierdie kompetisie is?
Baie trots. I mean, dis nie net 'n kwessie van Jake White nie. Dis ons Bulls ondersteuners is, ek sou dink is ontsettend bly. Jy weet, dis nie waar ons wil wees nie, en ek sê dit aanhoudend. Ons klub is nog steeds aan die groei. Maar ons is baie bly. Ons is nog lewendig in 'n kompetisie. Ons kry geleentheid om onsself te meet môre teen 'n gedigte span, baie internasionale spelers hierso in die Edinburgh span. En is weg van die huis af weer. Jy weet, so dis maar groot taak vir ons as 'n groep, maar ons is almal baie bevoorreg en ons sien uit na die game.
En help my dan met my laaste vraag is, hoe verskil hierdie, ek weet jy is 'n afrogter as direkteur van rugby, julle wil fokus op julleself môre of ja, in die aanloop tot môre se wedstryd, maar hoe verskil die opponente wat julle môre te staan kom? As ek kyk na VRK, julle is baie hoër geplaas op punte leer daar teen hulle, maar hoe verskil die opponente môre? Gaan julle net môre opdag om die wen te gaan haal dan môre?
Ja, ek dink nie is 'n kwessie van hoe die opponente verskillende is nie. I mean, einde van die dag is baie internasionale spelers wat hierso speel. En dit gaan 'n groot uitdaging wees. I mean, hulle speel tuis. Ons is nou 2 weke weg van die huis af. Maar ook, ons het ook 'n goeie wen gehad vir hierdie week en die momentum nou is eintlik baie goed in ons, jy weet, in ons span. Ons geniet dit om saam te wees, ons geniet dit om te toer. Ek dink ons hierdie jaar uit ons 10 wegwedstryde ons 6 gewen, wat eintlik, jy weet, is baie hoog vir 'n span wat weg van die huis af speel. So ons is vol moed. Ons sien uit na die game. Dit gaan 'n groot uitdaging wees, soos ek net nou gesê het, maar ja, ons moet net seker maak ons speel ons beste rugby in die laaste paar weke van elke toernooi, en ek sê dit elke week vir julle. Jy weet, die einde van die dag is die laaste 3 uitklopwedstryde is die wedstryde waar jou beste span die beste moet speel.
Ek sê vir jou baie dankie en sterkte meneer.
Baie dankie. Dankie.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks guys.